I've always been fascinated by the depth and richness of Black history. You know, it's not just a story of one people, but a narrative that weaves through the very fabric of human existence. As we embark on this journey together, I want you to understand that Black history isn't separate from world history. It is world history. From the cradle of humanity to the forefront of modern innovation, the Black experience has shaped our world in ways we're still discovering. Let me tell you, the story of Black history begins where all human history begins, in Africa. This vast, diverse continent isn't just the birthplace of Black people, it's the motherland of all humanity. You know, scientists have traced our earliest ancestors to the savannas and forests of Africa, where they first stood upright and began the long journey of human evolution. But Africa isn't just about our distant past. It's the home of some of the most advanced ancient civilizations the world has ever known. I'm talking about places like Egypt, Nubia, Ghana, Mali, and Songhai. These weren't just villages or towns, but mighty empires that rivaled any in Europe or Asia. They built great cities, developed complex writing systems, and made groundbreaking discoveries in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. Now, I can't help but think about the incredible achievements of these ancient African kingdoms. Take Egypt, for example. We've all seen the pyramids, right? But do you really understand what it took to build them? The level of mathematical and engineering knowledge required was astounding. And this was thousands of years ago. But Egypt wasn't alone. The kingdom of Nubia to the south built even more pyramids than Egypt. Then there's the Empire of Mali, which at its height was one of the largest and richest in the world. Mansa Musa, the emperor of Mali in the 14th century, is still considered one of the wealthiest individuals in history. His pilgrimage to Mecca was so lavish, with so much gold given away, that it caused inflation in the places he visited. But the story of Black history isn't all glory and achievement. We have to confront the dark chapters too, and there's none darker than the transatlantic slave trade. It's like this. Imagine your entire world being torn apart, your family separated, your freedom stolen. That's what happened to millions of Africans over hundreds of years. This wasn't just a tragedy for Africa, but a crime against humanity that reshaped the world. But even in the face of this unimaginable cruelty, Black people found ways to resist, to maintain their humanity, and to build communities. The resilience shown during this period is, to me, one of the most powerful examples of human strength and dignity in all of history. You know, in the face of oppression, Black people never stopped fighting for their freedom. I'm talking about people like Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, and Harriet Tubman, true heroes who risked everything for liberty. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana and Jomo Kenyatta in Kenya led their nations to freedom, inspiring Black people around the world. And in the Americas, the struggle continued with the Civil Rights Movement, which challenged systemic racism and fought for equal rights under the law. Now, let me tell you about a time that just electrifies me. The Harlem Renaissance. You had writers like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, musicians like Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong, artists like Aaron Douglas, all creating work that didn't just entertain, but challenged how people thought about race and culture. And this wasn't just happening in Harlem. Across the Atlantic, a similar movement was taking place in Paris, with artists and writers from Africa and the Caribbean coming together to celebrate their shared heritage. This period saw the birth of movements like Negritude, which asserted the value and dignity of African cultures. I'm talking about folks like Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat on a bus, and the Little Rock Nine, who braved hatred and violence to integrate their school. These weren't just isolated incidents. They were part of a massive, coordinated effort to challenge and dismantle systemic racism. Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison for his beliefs, became a global symbol of resistance and reconciliation. And you know, this struggle isn't over. From the Black Lives Matter movement to ongoing efforts to address economic inequality and police brutality, the fight for true equality continues. Let me tell you, Black excellence isn't just about arts and politics. It's about innovation and discovery too. Think about people like George Washington Carver, who revolutionized agriculture, or Dr. Charles Drew, whose work on blood plasma saved countless lives. These brilliant minds pushed the boundaries of science and technology, often in the face of incredible odds. From jazz and blues to hip-hop and Afrobeats, Black musical traditions have shaped the way the world sounds. In fashion, art, dance, and language, Black creativity has been at the forefront of cultural innovation. As we look at Black life in the 21st century, it's clear that while much has changed, many challenges remain. From continuing economic disparities to the fight against systemic racism, Black communities around the world are still pushing for true equality. But at the same time, we're seeing unprecedented levels of Black excellence in every field: politics, business, science, arts, you name it. As we come to the end of our journey, I want you to remember this. Black history is everyone's history. It's a story of struggle and triumph, of pain and joy, of oppression and liberation. But most of all, it's a story that continues to unfold. By understanding this history, we can all play a part in shaping a more just and equitable future. Because in the end, we're all part of the same human family, and our stories are all interconnected.